Therefore, brothers and sisters, in view of the mercies of God, I urge you to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true worship. Do not be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. As Paul wraps up his letter, he wants to help us answer the question of what do we do now that we know the good news? And here's Paul's answer. Live a life of worship to God, who's given us everything. And now maybe you hear the word worship and all that comes to mind is singing songs or praying, and those things are worship, but that's not what Paul is talking about. Remember what the gospel is. Jesus laid down his life while we were enemies to bring about our justification, to take away our guilt. And Jesus rose to life and poured out his Spirit on us so that we could be changed from death to life, so that we could be sanctified from the inside out. And so here we stand, forgiven, freed, and confident, knowing that God has chosen us who confess Jesus as Lord, whether we're Jewish or a Gentile, to be his children. And there is nothing left for us to do except to do what we were always created to do in the first place, to worship him. And all that means is living a life that's all about God, pointing all of the creation to the Creator. That is our worship to him, a life of love. Now, this will take us changing the way we think so that we aren't focused on the here and now or only what we can see, taste, touch, or smell, not on the things of the flesh, as Paul words it, but instead we begin to run all the things of this world that we come into contact with on a daily basis through the filter of the good news, the gospel, understanding, remembering everything God has done for us, everything that God says about us, and then acting and reacting in a way that looks like our Father, that looks like Jesus. Paul reminds us that everything we are and ever hope to be is only because of the grace of God. So just be humble. Don't think so highly of ourselves. Are we going to be perfect? No. But remember, sanctification is a process. It takes time. God is patient and long-suffering. He has poured out a lot of different gifts onto each one of us. But just like our physical body has a lot of different parts that serve different functions, we need to remember that we as individuals in the family of God have been given those different gifts to serve different functions. And whatever gift God has given us, let's use it with excellence, but let's use it with the understanding that it is to help the whole body and not just ourselves. Paul says the way you live your life should look differently. Let love be without hypocrisy. Detest evil. Cling to what is good. Love one another deeply as brothers and sisters. Take the lead in honoring one another. Do not lack diligence and zeal. Be fervent in the Spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in affliction. Be persistent in prayer. Share with the saints in their needs. Pursue hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud. Instead, associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own estimation. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Give careful thought to do what is honorable in everyone's eyes. If possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Friends, do not avenge yourselves. Instead, leave room for God's wrath. Because it is written, vengeance belongs to me. I will repay, says the Lord. Instead, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. Jesus says, for in so doing, you will be heaping fiery coals on his head. Do not be conquered by evil, but conquer evil with good. This style of living isn't about following the rules to earn God's love or favor. Remember, that's been handled, and his love has been proven through Jesus. This is about living so that the world sees God, showing honor to the governmental authorities. Pay your taxes, pay your tolls. Those are all ways in which you can worship God because you recognize government's authority comes from God. Love your neighbor as yourself. That is our primary duty. Carry yourself as though the world is watching you, only don't let them see you. Let them see Christ by not pursuing fleshly gratification. Embrace the law of liberty. Meaning, let's not get bogged down in the minutia of making sure that everyone is dotting every I and crossing every T of the commandments, but rather let's trust that if God says I've accepted them because of my son's blood, then so be it. Let's embrace the law of love that says I am always going to try and lift my brother or sister up rather than make them stumble and fall. Let's pursue what promotes peace, what builds up one another. Let's live a life of worship to Him who is able to strengthen us according to the gospel and proclamation of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery that was kept silent for long ages but is now revealed and made known through the prophetic scriptures, according to the command of the eternal God, in order to advance the obedience of faith among all the nations. Let us live a life of worship to the only wise God through Jesus Christ. Let's live a life of love in Jesus. To Him be the glory forever and ever. Amen.